Hi you guys, and welcome back to Briefly Trending. Today we're going to speak about a case that took place in the 90s. Now this case was everywhere. It was very popular and it was in almost every headline. Now this case involves Mike Tyson and Desiree Washington. If you aren't familiar with Mike Tyson or Desiree Washington, that's okay. I will give you a little bit of a backstory on the both of them. Mike Tyson is a former professional boxer and is considered to be one of the best heavyweight boxers. He was born in June 1966 in New York. He has two other siblings. Tyson was born to his mother, Lorna, and a Jimmy Kirkpatrick. Now, allegedly, Jimmy Kirkpatrick didn't stick around long. He allegedly abandoned the family when Mike was extremely young. So this left a lot of responsibility and pressure on Mike Tyson's mother, Lorna. The family lived in Breford for a while, but they eventually moved to Brownsville. And as a child, it was said that Mike Tyson was teased and picked on often. And at first, he didn't really stand up for himself, but eventually he did learn to stand up for himself. In his youth, Mike ran into a lot of trouble. Allegedly, by the age of 13, he had been arrested numerous times. Now, I do want to state that his mother did end up passing while he was young, so that could be a reason as to why he ended up in a lot of trouble. But eventually, Mike would end up at the Tyson School for Boys, which is sort of like a reform school, and there is where he would meet a man by the name of Bobby. Bobby was a juvenile detention counselor. Bobby saw a lot of potential in Tyson and eventually ended up training him, but he would soon introduce Tyson to Cus D'Amato. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Cus D'Amato would soon become Tyson's legal guardian, and as I stated earlier, his mother did end up passing, so Cus D'Amato did become his legal guardian, and allegedly he also became Tyson's boxing manager / trainer. Under D'Amato, Tyson would go on to win gold medals at the 1981 and 1982 Junior Olympics Games. 1984, Tyson would go on to win a gold medal at the nation's Golden Gloves. Tyson would soon rise to stardom, making his professional debut on March 1985 in New York City, where he defeated Hector Mercedes. It was also alleged that Tyson won 26 out of the first 28 fights by TKO or by KO. In 1986, he was given his first title fight for the World Boxing Council Heavyweight Championship. He did win. The 80s turned out to be a winning decade for Mike, but soon it would all come crashing down. In 1991, the Miss Black America pageant was being held, and Mike was asked to attend. And this is where he would meet Desiree Washington. Desiree Washington is a former model in Miss Black, Rhode Island. She was born in 1973 to Mary and Donald Washington. Her family owned a ranch-style home with a swimming pool in the small town of Providence, Rhode Island. She had two other siblings, an older brother and a younger sister, and they were all raised as strict Baptists. Desiree Washington attended Coventry High School, where she was on the varsity cheerleading team, and she played in the school's championship softball team. When she wasn't working her 9 to 5 during summer, she would do volunteer work, and she would also teach Sunday school, and she did all of this while on the honor roll. She was also voted most friendly and the most talkative girl in school. Soon Desiree Washington would graduate from high school and go on to attend Providence College, but before she could graduate college, she went on to enter into the Miss Black America pageant, unaware of the alleged events that would unfold. Washington claimed Tyson called her at 1:45 a.m. to tour the city, and then picked her up in his limo and took her back to his room, and made small talk as they both sat on the bed. Washington stated the conversation went something like, Tyson asking, "Do you like me?" She replied, "You seem okay." She claimed his voice changed a bit, and he said, "You're turning me on." Then she stated, "I'm not like that." She claimed he then put his hand up to his face, and she stood up saying she wants to use the bathroom and then they'll leave. Tyson responded, "Okay." When she came back from the bathroom, Washington said she saw Mike in his underwear. Tyson then pulled her to the bed, pinned her down, and raped her. She testified. She stated she started to try to get away, but he slammed her down. There were witnesses in this case, one by the name of Virginia Foster, who was the limo driver who chauffeured Tyson around. Foster also drove Miss Washington back to her hotel after the alleged attack. In court, they asked Foster about Washington when she returned to the limo. Foster stated her hair wasn't as neat, meaning Mrs. Washington's hair wasn't as neat, that she looked in a state of shock, disoriented, and couldn't focus, and she seemed scared. That's what Miss Foster had to say about Miss Washington. The next witness would be the emergency room physician, Dr. Richardson. Dr. Richardson stated that Mrs. Washington had 2 small vaginal abrasions, consistent with 20 to 30% of the injuries in sexual assault cases. Soon it would be Tyson's turn to testify. Tyson allegedly stated in his testimony, "I explained to her I just wanted to F her." When asked why he would use such vulgar language, Tyson stated, "That's the way I am. I just want to know what I'm getting into before I'm getting into it." He would be questioned about this very statement later on. A lawyer asked Tyson, "You said to Desiree, an 18-year-old, just graduated from high school, 'I want to F you,' and she said, 'That's bold, call me?'" The lawyer asked Tyson. Tyson replied, "No, she said, 'That's pretty bold.' I said, 'Well, that's the way I am. I want what I want. I just want you to know where we stand.' He said she replied by saying, 'Sure, call me.'" Tyson allegedly also described the type of underwear Washington was wearing and Washington's behavior in the room that night. Now, this would not help his case at all. There were also other people who came forward. Someone by the name of Lashana Fitzpatrick stated Miss Washington looked like death after being asked how Miss Washington appeared when she saw her on July 20th. After all the witnesses had been called and everyone that came forward, including Tyson and Washington, giving their testimonies, the jury had to decide, and they did. They found Mike Tyson guilty. He was to serve 6 years, but only ended up serving 3 years and was out for good behavior, allegedly. After the case was over, Mike went on to serve his sentence, and as I stated before, he only served 3 years and then he was out. Desiree went on to graduate from Providence College with a psychology major. Now, I'm not sure where they are today. I mean, we see Mike Tyson every now and again, but we don't know much about Desiree Washington today. This situation is extremely sad. I hope Desiree is doing well, and we can see that Mike Tyson is still in the headlines today, but for different reasons. I believe he has his own podcast, but yeah, I wish everyone well. But my takeaway from this is basically when someone comes forward about something that's this serious, we have to pay close attention to everything. And sometimes when you're a fan of someone, you automatically just assume they're innocent. And sometimes when you don't like someone, you automatically assume they're guilty. We just have to pay close attention to our bias views. And also, we can't allow things to cloud our judgment. We have to focus on, did this happen? Is this believable? Is there evidence supporting what a person is saying? Now, I will say in researching this case, I was so disappointed to see that so many women attacked Desiree Washington, saying that she did this to herself, or saying that she deserved it, or saying that she knew what was going to happen to her. And really all I'm hearing from some of these people is that they believe it happened, but she deserved it because she went to his room late at night, and that's not okay. But again, none of us really know what happened. We choose to believe who we want to believe, and some of us believe whoever because of evidence, and some of us may not believe whoever because of lack of evidence. But But again, none of us were in the room and none of us actually know what happened. So that's all for today, you guys. Please comment down below and tell me what you think of this case. And, you can also tell me who you believe, who you don't believe, if you like. And that's going to be all for today. Until next time.